Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Gift of Health Total Wellness Chat. And it's such an honor to be here today. So, Happy New Year. And I know this is the first wellness chat this year. And we are so excited to kick this off. So, I'm the host, Dr. Shobha Rayapudi. And for those of you who are meeting us for the very first time, I'm a board certified lifestyle medicine doctor and co founder of Gift of Health, where we actually help people struggling with chronic diseases, including but not limited to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, and other chronic conditions that we see nowadays, to break free from those chronic diseases, reduce your dependence on medications, and have more energy. And today, I'm so excited to have a special guest. Okay, so how many of you notice that, as we age, we tend to put up more fat and lose muscle, right? But whereas we want the opposite, we want to build more muscle and lose fat as we age. And today's guest is exactly going to tell us how we can build muscle and how we can lose that belly fat that we don't want, and how we can strengthen our bones. And even this are some things that can be done even as we age. And so we are so excited for today's session. And it's a huge honor for me to welcome Maxime. So he is a fit vegan coach. He's the CEO and founder of Fit Vegan Coach, and has helped more than 800 individuals to get lean, to get better. And also, he does this on whole food plant-based diet. And that's the beauty of it. So I would say this is the world's largest body recomposition training program that he has. And his mission is to actually help more than 10,000 people to get lean, to thrive, and be healthy. And it is such an honor to have him. I will let him share his personal story. And he has been a fit vegan coach, and he has done so many triathlons, and he also coaches people. So, without further ado, welcome, Maxime, and it's such a huge honor to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Chobo. Very excited to be here. Grateful to be the first guest of the year. Um, yeah, great introduction. I appreciate the kind words. Um, yeah, if you'd like me to dive into my story, I'm gonna try to condense it and grab the, quote unquote highlights that brought me into this position today. So, growing up, I grew up on a dairy farm. We had not dairy farm. We had cows, we had chickens, we had geese, we had a lot of animals, and we had animals for meat, for eggs, and I grew up very redneck, if you want to put it that way, right? We weren't vegans. We made fun of vegans that ate tofu. My dad called them blocks of plastic, back then. And so coming from that background, I transitioned to doing, some bodybuilding and powerlifting. So I've done some sports that are very meat heavy, and I ended up going up to all the way up to 240 pounds was my peak weight that I've weighed. Was extremely strong and big, but is extremely unhealthy. And then one day I got recruited to by just working out with a friend of mine. He brought me to another friend's place, and it was his modeling agent. And she saw me and she's like, I see something under those big chubby cheeks. I think there's a jawline under there. It's like, you should try modeling. I was like, I've never thought of that. I never thought of that as a job. She's like, the people that you see in the magazines get paid to be there. That is a better job than working at Subway, which is where I worked at the time. And so I decided to go on Google and research what is the fastest way to lose weight and get skinny. Because ultimately I was 240 pounds. I wouldn't fit in any of the modeling clothes that they wanted me to fit. And vegan showed up. Said vegans are skinny and weak. I was like, well, I need to get skinny. I don't like the idea of being weak, but I'll take it if it's going to allow me to get skinny ultimately. And that's what started my transition to veganism over a decade ago. And disclaimer, you can be strong by being vegan, you can build muscle, you can be an athlete. That has been proven over and over again. But that's what kickstarted my journey to veganism. So I literally went from eating a dozen eggs for breakfast and 3 chicken breasts every 2 hours for 5 meals a day for I think 4 years consecutively at that time when I was doing bodybuilding, to the next day I had a bowl of frozen blueberries, bananas, and some dates. That was my first vegan breakfast, and that was over a decade ago. And I haven't looked back since then. I was able to lose the weight. I felt really great. My the mucus in my nose cleared up. I had my better ability to think. My digestion improved. A lot of things got better as I transitioned to veganism. And then about almost 4 years, no, was I was 22 when this happened. When I was 22, I met my late partner, and she got diagnosed with breast cancer within 3 months of us starting dating. And because I love her, I stuck by her side and I wanted to be there for her. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. I was a caregiver for 5 years before she passed away. By the time I was 27, and that was over 4 years ago at this point. And so when she got diagnosed, the doctors told her, "You have 1 year to live. You're not going to be able to make it anything past that." She's like, "I'm going to take my chances." And I prompted her to eat whole food, plant-based, and kind of change how she was living because she had a very high stress, low nutrient lifestyle. And ultimately, through transitioning her to eat whole food, plant-based, she ended up living almost 5 years, which was 4 years more than the doctor had given her. And as she was on this journey, I was like, I want to help other people not end up in her position. So I know that if I can help people eat whole food, plant-based, I can help them exercise, have a healthy body weight, have a better lifestyle, I can greatly reduce the risk of dealing with any of those chronic illnesses. Nope, there's nothing guaranteed in life, but to me, it's like wearing a seatbelt. If you have a seatbelt when you're in a car accident, there's no guarantees to not die, but there's a decreased likelihood of it happening. And so that's kind of when I embarked on creating Fit Vegan Coaching, which almost 5 years ago, about 1 year before she passed. And then when she passed, that's when I set that mission for myself to serve 10,000 people by 2033 and a million by 2050. And that's kind of what leads us to this place here where we've helped. I did the calculations the other day. We've served over 980 people so far. We're approaching the 1,000.
Yes, exciting. I really appreciate you sharing the story, Maxime, because I know a lot of people out there need to hear this story because sometimes we think that okay, if you look, especially when it comes to bodybuilding or strength training or any form of exercise, the messages you keep here is, I know you need to eat more protein, and they are like, you need to eat animal meat, and this is something that you cannot do on a whole food plant-based diet. So a lot of people, so I'm really happy to see that, like, people like you who are able to help coach people, like not only for bodybuilding but for healthy living, like using whole food plant-based diet, because it's very rare to find a coach who would actually like instruct nutrition. I mean, from the nutrition perspective, to eat plants to build muscles. So that's a very rare, it's very rare to find a coach like who would be helping us to do that. So I mean, like, I'm really excited for that. So, and in our community, so a lot of people are struggling with chronic conditions, just like I mentioned, whether it is high blood pressure or diabetes or heart disease, and when they so after, I know, like, food is the first thing that they focus on, but as they are becoming well on whole food plant-based diet, they have more energy to exercise. And obviously, exercise is also the other part that needs to be incorporated in their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So so, like, as I said, like, many people say that, like, you cannot do this on a plant-based diet, but to start off, like, many vegans, they are concerned that like, on this diet they may not be able to build bones. So, or like, they're more likely to be diagnosed with osteopenia or so. Like, I want you to bust that myth, or like, what are your thoughts on, like, when it comes to people eating plant-based diet, can they build strong bones?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've done it over and over again. So obviously there'd be two components to the answer. One of them would be from a nutrition standpoint, and one would be from an exercise standpoint, right?
Mhm.
So from a nutrition standpoint, if people don't already know, right? Calcium from milk is the worst. It's just leaching basically calcium out of your bones and actually making your bones a little bit weaker. When you're looking at whole food plant-based, they're going to contain a lot higher volume of calcium in it, which is going to be more easily absorbable into the body. And it's anti-inflammatory. And it's rich in fiber for the gut health. So all of these things are going to help the nutrient absorption into your body, which will help the building of bones healthy to be healthier ultimately. But the part that most people miss are just focusing on the nutrition. When we look at resistance training slash strength training, we want to do bone bearing activity. So we want to put some gentle light pressure on those bones to give it a reason to become stronger. So there's this process called osteoblast and osteoclast that basically when you're, for example, grabbing 10-pound dumbbells and you're doing shoulder presses over your head, it is putting some tension on the muscles, but it's also putting some tension on the bones as well, right? Because there's gravity pushing down from the weight that you're holding. And what happens, there's these very little micro tear that happen on the bone. And as a recovery mechanism, your body will go and throw, for as an example, another layer of cement on top of it and will kind of smooth it out because you're basically telling your body with this resistance training that I'm doing, I need stronger bones in order to be able to do this exercise. And so as you continue to exercise, these little micro tears happen. The body kind of throws in a little bit extra cement, if you want to call it that, and then smooths it out. And over time, it helps, it keeps your bones stronger. So actually, strength training will increase bone density in people over at any age, to be honest with you, but especially as we get older and there's a natural decrease in bone density, strength training plays wonder, to be fair, way more than nutrition, because you're actually stimulating the growth, right? And the building of density of the bone in the body. Because if you're, how can I put it that way? Your body's an adaptation machine. It is simply a reflection of your environment. And so if you eat whole food plant-based, but you sit around all day, your body, your muscles, your bone, your mobility will be a reflection of the environment that you live in. And so if your posture is always a seated down position, hunched over, and you never stand up to walk upstairs, go walk, lift some things, well, your body's going to mold to be able to be the most optimal at what you're asking of it. So if you're asking it to sit all day, not move around, it will become very good at sitting around and not doing too much. But if you're demanding of it to stand up, to exercise, to hike, to do some yoga, whatever it may be, then your body will be forced to adapt to this conscious stressor that you're adding on it and will force it to be more mobile, stronger, and have stronger bones. So strength training is extremely valuable when it comes to building bone density.
So well said, Maxine. So even like as we age, the way we think that we need to lose weight. So is there a difference between losing weight versus losing fat?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that most people in America are losing weight. They're not
Mm,
losing fat. They're just obsessed over the number on the scale and just focusing on a number on the scale going down. So when you're losing weight on the scale, it could be that you're losing lean muscle tissue and fat,
mm,
which to a certain extent, like, yes, you're getting lighter, but you're also getting, I haven't found a better word for it because I kind of like the word, but you're getting fluffier, right? You kind of like soft and pudgy. Your body just looks soft and pudgy because you're losing lean muscle mass. So your body composition is going the opposite direction. So when you're focusing on weight loss, you're not going to worry about the proportions of your nutrition. You're not going to focus on getting enough energy, and you're not going to focus on strength training, which has tremendous benefits outside of building bone, building muscle. So you're just going to burn through lean muscle tissue and fat, and then you just end up looking like a skinnier, lighter, fluffier version of yourself,
mm.
basically, right? You're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
weigh 120 pounds on the scale, but in a bathing suit, you don't necessarily look the way that you want to. Now, on the flip side, when you're just focused on fat loss, you're actually focused on shifting your body composition the proper way. Because if you're focusing on fat loss, it means that you're consciously putting an emphasis on retention and building of lean muscle tissue. And that means that you've tailored your exercise and nutrition in a way where you can put an emphasis on fat loss. Because, as you get older, as you pass, your 50s, sarcopenia kicks in. So there's a natural decrease in lean muscle tissue that happens. And so if you're going to do all the wrong things when it comes to fat loss, to weight loss, if you want to talk about it after, if you're going to do all the wrong things, you will lose weight at a much faster rate than any other person because you're going to be losing more muscle tissue because of sarcopenia naturally coming in if you're not strength training, if you're not structuring your nutrition properly. So yeah. Big difference.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you explained this. So, like you almost explained like how I mean, like what is body recomposition? So so the question is, so are we able to do body recomposition even after 50? As you said, sarcopenia sets in.
Yeah.
So, like, can we successfully recompose our body even as we are aging?
Absolutely. So let's just break it down logically,
Hmm.
right? So a shift in body composition is we're playing with two variables.
Hmm.
There's the fat variable and there's the muscle variable. So for the people that are watching on the screen, you have my two hands here at the same level. This is fat, this is muscle.
Hmm.
If we decrease the amount of fat and keep the same amount of muscle, that is a favorable shift in body composition, right? Because you're going to be leaner. If we increase the amount of muscle, but we keep the same amount of fat, that is still a shift in body composition,
Hmm.
right? If we decrease the muscle and keep the fat high, that is a negative shift in body composition, right? Because that means you have less muscle tissue, which is what most people do. But what
Hmm.
most people do is they increase the fat and decrease the muscle. That's the
Hmm.
worst kind, right? You're losing more muscle, you're putting on more fat.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
which to be fair is what happens to most people as they get older, right? They're not watching their nutrition to ensure that they're eating healthier and optimizing their body. Fat
Mhm.
goes up, and they're not exercising in a way to stimulate muscle growth, so muscle goes down. So you're basically speeding up the rate at which your body composition gets worse
Mhm.
over time.
Mhm.
So if you want to shift your body composition in a possible way, in a positive way, sorry, you want to decrease the amount of fat, build the amount of muscle, or retain, right? Depending on kind of what your goal is.
Mhm.
So in order to decrease the amount of body fat on the body, that is going to be nutrition related for 95%,
Mhm.
right? As much as people don't like the analogy of calories in versus calories out, it's very true, right? Having this conversation with Dr. Neil Barnard, we can't redefine the laws of thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, you can eat 5,000 calories of fruits and veggies, you're still going to put on fat. Your body's not going to be able to handle that much because you're not expending that much. So,
Mhm.
to a certain extent, we want to be in a calorie deficit to
Mhm.
tell our bodies, like, hey, we need to use some of those fat storages as energy to compensate for the deficit that we have because we're expending all this energy on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
right? And then the second thing that's important when it comes to putting an emphasis on just burning the fat is a certain amount of plant-based protein throughout the day. All
Mhm.
right. So I'm not going to say that it's the same amount as they recommend you in the bodybuilder and meat eating world, because to
Mhm.
be fair, I
Mhm.
was consuming about 1.5 gram to 2 gram per pound of body weight when I was bodybuilding. So
Wow.
imagine I weighed 240 pounds. I was consuming about 400 grams of protein. My
Mhm.
gut was destroyed. It was terrible. You don't need that much protein. And studies have shown that
Mhm.
if you're someone that is active, doing some strength training at least 3 times a week, you need about 1.6 gram per kg of body weight per
Mhm.
day,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
is a lot less than what
Mhm.
you will read on the magazines for fitness magazines, right?
Yeah.
And to
Mhm.
be fair, that is the number that we've used for all of our members, and we have 980 successful transformations. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying that to say, like, it works. We've proven it hundreds of times, right? So we can't, it's not
Mhm.
debatable at this point. It's proven
Mhm.
by science and we've done it over and over again.
Mhm.
So if you hit that amount of protein, you are in a calorie deficit, which is a moderate calorie deficit, then you're going to be able to put your body in a state of fat loss. That's
Mhm.
going to be to bring the fat variable down. Now, the muscle variable, if you want to keep it the same or bring it up, we need to introduce strength training. Strength training is the only thing that will directly stimulate the lean muscle from being built in that way. Yes, you can go hiking. Yes, you can do Pilates and yoga and all of these things, but it won't stimulate the growth of lean muscle tissue at the same rate that strength training will. And all that's required at a minimum is 3 times per week of
Mhm.
strength training. That is all you need. Anything less than that is not enough of a constant stressor for the body to have to adapt to the stressor,
Mhm.
right? It's like if you exercise strength train once a week versus zero versus like 4 or 5, like strength training once a week is like eating a salad once a week. Not
Okay.
going to do too much for you,
Mhm.
right? If you eat McDonald's for the rest of the week, it's not going to be too great for you, right? Or a vegan version of McDonald's.
So how about people who do strength training twice a week? So you would say minimum 3 times a week
Oh
would
yeah.
ensure like good muscle growth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it's the same thing as I've explained with bones
Yeah.
earlier. As you're going to go
Mhm,
into the gym and you're going to put that stressor on the muscles, you're going to have
mhm,
those little micro tears that happen, and then they're going to repair and get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. And that's
mhm,
what's going to help to increase your natural lean muscle mass. And
mhm,
just for people to put into perspective of how long it takes to build muscle, because people, as we work with a lot of women as well, so there's
mhm.
always that fear of like, if I go and lift some weights, I'm going to turn into Arnold. You
I
won't.
wish, but that doesn't happen.
A lot of men wish that it would work that way. It doesn't. So, I was going to say the rate of fat loss. So, if you're going to lose 15 pounds of fat, it'll
Mhm,
take you 15 to 20 weeks to get that done in a proper way, right? Where you're actually shifting your body composition, not
mhm,
just focusing on being lighter.
mhm,
If you want to put on 15 pounds of purely muscle, a year plus.
mhm,
So, we're talking 15 weeks versus 52 plus weeks
mhm,
to put on 15 pounds of muscle versus losing 15 pounds of fat. Significant difference in timeline. It takes so much longer to build lean muscle tissue. And now,
mhm,
especially as you're getting older, you throw in sarcopenia in there, the rate of lean muscle tissue will slow down a little bit compared to you have someone in your 20s and in your 30s, which should be fair. Sarcopenia starts as early as in your 30s, right? So if you're in your 20s, you'll put on at the maximal amount of rate. But
mhm,
as you're getting older, that rate is going to decrease. And so can we negate the speed at which we're decreasing our lean muscle tissue to maintain, right? Can we
mhm,
tweak our nutrition to now be in the positive where we're not, canceling the amount that we lose at, but we're actually going into the positive over the years as we get older.
mhm,
And so the strength training will take care of building the lean muscle tissue in combination with getting enough plant-based protein, and enough plant-based protein with the small calorie deficit will take care of decreasing the variable of decreasing the body fat ultimately. And
mhm,
then you can throw in cardiovascular exercise as a tool to kind of induce more deficit in there.
mhm. So looks like, I mean, strength training is something that is very important. So besides building lean muscle, what are the advantages of strength training?
Yeah, so obviously building muscle, strengthening your bones is great for hormone balancing as well. It's great for protecting your joints as you get older. Um, think of how important strength is when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, right? If you take a step and your leg gives out and you fall and you hurt yourself, the rate at which your arm is going to recover will be significantly longer and could potentially be dangerous for them compared to if you're 20 and you fall and you hit your arm. And so it's not only about like looking great and decreasing your body fat and all these things, which ultimately there's going to be health benefit in decreasing the risk of chronic illnesses as you have more lean muscle in your body. But if you can reduce your chances of getting injured, because as soon as you get injured in your 80s and your 90s, as you get older, like
Yeah.
the rate of recovery is so long
Yes.
that it's so much more worth it to try to have strength and strengthen those bones so that if you do fall, that
Mhm,
you're not going to get severely injured and potentially could be terrible for you in the long run.
mhm,
Um, so again, from a obviously there's mental health benefits as well because it feels great to work out. You always have a great day after you do. But
mhm,
from a bone density standpoint, building lean muscle tissue, balancing the hormone, reducing the risk of injury, for you to feel stronger, feel more confident in your body as well, for you to be more mobile as you get older, for you to be able to continue to enjoy life to the fullest as you get older,
mhm.
it's significant because um, it comes down to philosophy of life, but so many people wait their entire life until they're retired to enjoy life, but now they don't have the body to enjoy what they've built for themselves. And
Yes.
so, we got clients that are in their 70s and are skiing down hills in Italy. And we have some of the members in their 80s that are cycling across Europe. Like you want to be able to do these things as you get older. And
Mhm.
it will only happen if you take care of the amount of lean muscle that you have on your body.
Yes, so well put, Maxim. As you said, strength training helps with a lot of things, and especially even balancing the hormones, and even with the stress hormones or cortisol. I mean, like there are so many studies to show, like actually, strength training like helps you so much with the hormonal balance as well. So, which a lot of people suspect, okay, because people all only think of building muscle when it comes to strength training. But as you said, there are many benefits to strength training. And let's
Yeah,
say if we have not done any strength training, so like, can we start even if we have crossed our 50s? So, like, can
absolutely. You
yes.
should 100%. You should not wait. There's not an age where you should not strength train because you've waited your whole life to do it. As
Hmm.
soon as you hear this video, you should do some
Yes.
squats right now just to start your journey to build some momentum. No, but there's no age because the older you get, the greater the benefit is going to be, right? When you're in your 20s, more muscle is just so you feel confident as you're walking down the street and your clothes fit nice. But
Hmm.
as you get older, we have some members that still care about that. But for the most of them, it's like it's just quality of life. It's just they don't want a longer life with terrible quality. They want good quality of years. And so regardless of even if you're 95, you should start some form of strength training that is at the beginner level for you, right? Whether it's just using resistance band or water bottles at weight, doing push-ups on the wall while you're standing. There's always a variation that you can do to kind of get yourself started and build up from there. And because like I've shared earlier, the
Yes.
bot, right? The body's an adaptation machine. And
Hmm.
so regardless of what your starting point is, it is not the end point. You just build upon that. And that's why we have people that are, you hear those stories of people that were 350 pounds that couldn't walk a mile and now they're doing an Ironman.
Hmm.
Just progression over time. The body adapts to whatever you demand of it. It's just about going through that process.
Hmm. And like sometimes we all know the benefits of strength training, and in our mind we think we should do the strength training, but we have so much resistance to do the strength training.
Yeah.
It feels hard, or sometimes it's like, oh, my body is going to hurt, or I'm going to have that body pains, or for some people, like I don't know how to do strength training, and especially for some women also, it may feel odd to do strength training. Like when it comes to doing yoga or any cardiovascular exercises, people don't have that much resistance. But when it comes to strength training, for some reason, there is so much of resistance. So how do you
Yeah.
actually help your people, like who have so much resistance to strength training?
Yeah. So I'll give you the short answer of how we
Mhm.
do it, but I want to address all the situations you
Yes.
mentioned because I hear them all the time.
Yeah.
So for us, when they come in, they get a full health team. They get a nutritionist, they get a doctor, they get a trainer assigned to them. So they have
Hmm.
a full health team working on them. And so
Hmm.
we build them up from where they are. So if they want to start exercising at their house, then we start them off at their house with resistance band or body weight. And then we build them up from there. So we meet them where they're at and slowly and gradually increase ultimately. So we don't put them in the gym to do my types of workout, right? We kind of build them up. For the most part, we work with women that are like 55 to 60 to 70 plus. So I don't expect anyone to do my workouts when they start off. But we have one of our members that's in her late 50s and she does 4 pull-ups in a row and like a clean one, fully dead hang all the way to the top. I
Hmm.
remember Randy's 74. He does 5 sets of 5 pull-ups, 5 sets of 50 push-ups at 74. So just to show what's possible. So for
Yeah.
us to get a full health team, we take care of everything.
Mhm.
But to address all the scenarios that you said, those make me happy. So
Mhm.
if you're a woman that's never strength trained before and you don't want to go to the gym because it's intimidating, I get it. You get in there and you're like, what are these massive machines? What do they do? I don't want to be walking around trying to figure out how to use them. So
Mhm.
I would say start off at your house. Go
Mhm.
on Amazon, buy some bands for $10, go to, a garage sale, buy some little weights just to get you started at your house and to get comfortable with doing the movements,
Mhm.
right? And guess what's going to happen at one point? You'll be too strong for the weights that you have at your house. Now you
Yes.
have options. Do I buy more weights? Do I invest in gym equipment for my house or do I go to a gym? Right? Because at one point it's cheaper to go to the gym than to buy everything yourself.
Mhm.
So graduate, start from your house where you're comfortable, learn the movement, start to work out, build some consistency, build some momentum, build it into your identity that you identify as someone that exercises, that works out. And then from there, you can make the decision, invest more or go to a gym, as an example. One of the other examples that you shared, someone that's never really worked out in their life, like where to get started. If you don't mind me kind of plugging this, like this is live on YouTube,
Sure.
but on my YouTube channel, I literally, if you go on the main page, there's
Mhm.
a playlist that's called Fit Vegan Exercise. There's
Mhm.
101 exercise videos that I've recorded. They're maybe a minute and a half long. It's literally just me telling you how to do the exercise safely and effectively. So I
Mhm.
would say go look at exercise videos like this to learn how to do the movement,
Mhm.
right? So a lot of the time it's just about figuring out the sequence of it. There's also another workout. There's a few workout videos on there where I give the workout for free for a whole month. So you
Mhm.
can go on there and it literally will tell you what to do.
Mhm.
If you're newer to fitness, highly recommend doing 3 full body workouts a week. Maybe
Mhm.
on like a Monday, a Wednesday, or Friday. The only reason I say that is because there's a day of break in between. So you're not too sore, because you mentioned soreness is something that can deter people from taking action on that.
Mhm.
The soreness. Um, Funnily enough, you learn to embrace it. I've been sore for 19 years since I've started exercising, but it's a soreness that you learn to embrace and kind of enjoy, because you know it's a representation that you did a good work when you did your workout.
Mhm.
Again, it's not a debilitating amount of soreness. It's just a little tightness in the muscle that eventually you're like, yeah, it
Mhm.
feels good. I did a good job today. So it's
Mhm.
just like anything uncomfortable that you do for the first time. You just gotta get over that hump. Um, 2, 3 weeks. Do 2, 3 weeks, you get adjusted to the soreness. Your brain is used to it, and you see it as a, uh, as a reaction to basically the workout that you did. It's like, I did a good job. So give yourself 2, 3 weeks with the soreness. What I would say to reduce the soreness is 2 things: go at your own pace. Don't try to keep up with anyone, because the harder you push on your workout when you're not used to it, you'll be extremely sore because you did way more than you should have to get started. And second, stretch after. Stretching will greatly reduce the amount of soreness that you're going to get after the workout.
Mhm.
I think the last point I want to touch on this is, most people are scared to strength train as they get older, because they don't want to hurt themselves,
Mhm.
right? That's a big fear that we often
Yeah.
hear. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the reasons I filmed the exercise videos, so that people can know how to do the exercise properly.
Mhm.
But the big thing is, focus on your form
Mhm.
and focus on time under tension. So I'll explain what that is.
Mhm.
So let's just say you're doing a shoulder press
Mhm.
with some bands or dumbbells, even water bottles, whatever it may be. You can, I'm gonna show this sideways. You can
Mhm.
grab really heavy weights and press and curve your back like this and try to get the weight up.
Yes.
So what I always tell our clients is, watch a video on how to do it. But once you do it and you start pressing, if you press and you notice a little bit of wiggle, you notice that your body starts to do something, it's
Mhm.
basically your body's way of compensating to get the job done, right? It'll always find the
Yeah.
path of least resistance. And so if you're not used to those
Mhm.
muscles firing properly, your body's going to start to wiggle like that to
Yeah.
find a path of least resistance and get the job done. So as
Yes.
soon as you notice your body starts to wiggle, bring the weight down, bring the
Yeah.
resistance band down, grab a lighter one, and then do the exercises so that your body doesn't do that wiggle. And it's
That's
fine
an
if you want.
excellent tip, Maxime. That's really an excellent tip. I mean, just to know your starting point too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. So I was going to say, example, you're grabbing 10 pounds and you start to feel that wiggle, go down to 7.5, go down to 5 pounds.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with the weight. The weight is just there to create tension on the muscle. Your
Mhm.
body, your mind doesn't care that it's a 10 pound or a 15 pound. It just knows, is it hard enough to
Mhm.
do what I needed to do? So disregard the weight. It's just there for you to note it down so you know what to do the next time you did the workout.
Mhm.
So that'd be one thing.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing is, uh, focus on starting off with high repetition and lighter weights.
Mhm.
That's what we like to do with our members that are newer to fitness. So we'll start them off with like 3 to 4 rounds of 15 to 20 repetitions on some exercises sometimes. The only reason we do that is because, yes, there's studies that show that you can do, 5 to 8 repetitions of a weight, but you have to think, how heavy does the weight need to be for you to only be able to do 5 to 8? Pretty significantly heavy to be able to do that.
Mhm.
But now, if you're not used to strength training, your muscles aren't firing properly. You haven't found the right mind body coordination to be able to perform the movement safely. So, if
Mhm.
I give you a much lighter weight and ask you to do 10 to 15 to 20 repetition, well, now it's light enough that, one, you're not going to get injured. Second, because there's more repetition, you'll be able to get those muscles activated and firing properly. And you're going to build that mind muscle connection. Oh, when I do this, I feel it on my chest. I feel it on my tricep. When I press up, I feel it on my shoulder. And as you feel the muscle burn, then once we go heavier and we progress over time, you'll be like, this is where I'm supposed to feel it. I'm not supposed to feel it in my neck. What is this tension? Right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can basically build your way up with lighter weights and higher reps. And then over time, heavier weights, go a little bit lower on the reps, maybe like a 12 to 15, a 10 to 12, and then like an 8 to 10, but progress slowly over time over the months.
Mhm. And these are all excellent tips. Like, I'm fortunate that I have a home gym. Like, I have a 20-year-old son and my husband. So luckily, since I have two men in the house, so they strength train, and I do strength training as well.
Yeah.
So, like, even if it was left to me, because I don't like much cold. So, if I need to go to the gym in that cold weather, I would never. So, like, my gym is in the basement. Even to go to the basement, I feel so lazy during the cold weather. But as I said, so that's really fortunate. Like, I have all the weights and the equipment so that I can strength train and not give the excuse that okay, today I don't feel like going to gym. And so that's why, like, I was able to set up all the equipment. But as you said, it's a good idea to maybe just buy those resistant bands to start off, and then, like, if you want to set up something in your house, you can definitely do so. So, and like, even like finding the right way, right weight for yourself was also a great tip. Like, for personally, for me, what I find is in the beginning phases, accountability was a big part. But once I got used to doing strength training, I would say for 1 year. So yeah, I would say it almost took 1 year for me
Yeah.
to just feel comfortable to do by myself. So, like, I used to have a trainer. I still have a trainer come in, but I use him as an accountability more than to train. So, like, personally for me, what I feel is accountability really helps me, so that no matter what, I'm training 3 days a week. So, like, are there any other tips that you would like to offer to our audience when it comes to keeping it consistent? I know, like, we can get started off, but as you said, like, if we can keep it consistent, that actually helps us more.
Yeah. So we have this great saying we say with our members, consistency compounds, right?
Yes.
So the idea is progression over perfection. So a lot of people think that they need to feel 100% to go and get a workout in. Like, well, I don't feel 100% that I'll do it tomorrow. It's not going to be worth it if I do it today at whatever percentage I feel.
Mhm.
Another thing we tell members is give 100% of what you have for the day. So if you
Mhm.
feel 50% for that day, great, give 100% of that 50%. If you feel 10% for the day, give 100% of that 10%. Because if
Mhm.
you think of, the stories of compounding a penny
Mhm.
every single day, it ends up to like multi-millions of dollars. It's
Mhm.
the same thing with your workout. But if you don't do the workout, it's a $0 that you're
Mhm.
adding to the bank. Can you compound $0? No matter how many times you give it $0, it's still going to be $0 at the end of it. So even if one day you're able to put a whole dollar, right, and that's 100%, and you feel amazing that day, and on the days where you don't feel like it, it's a penny. Great, we can still compound a penny, right? We just can't compound zero. So there needs to be some type of showing up.
Mhm.
If it's just, okay, I don't have it in me to do a strength training today, let me move it to the next day, but let me go for a walk, right? Let me go for a hike. Let me go do yoga class instead. So to build consistency, you have to remember if you're gonna do 3 strength training sessions a week, that means that there's 4 of the days where you're not working out.
Mhm.
That means that if you can't do a workout on one day, it's not the end of the world. Just move it to the next day. You literally have 4 days to play around,
Mhm.
right? To get the workout in. So one of my rules is don't miss more than 2 days in a row.
Mhm.
So if I miss one day, then I have to do it the next day,
Mhm.
right? And that's kind of how I get all my workouts in.
Mhm.
So that would be one thing. Don't miss more than 2 days in a row. Understand that there's 4 days that you're not working out, or three if you're doing 4 workouts a week. So
Mhm.
you have the liberty to move them around. It's not the end of the world if you're supposed to have a break between your strength training days and you do one on one day and one on the next one. It's
Mhm.
much better for you to get it in than to skip it. All right. For accountability, I think people need to be honest with themselves as
Mhm.
to what they need for accountability,
Mhm.
right? Don't go on Google and try to see what's the best way to get accountability. So I'll just give you a few of them as an example. Some
Mhm.
people are very community driven, right? So for
Mhm.
them, going to the gym
Mhm.
and being familiar with everyone helps
Mhm.
to build that
Yes.
identity and that accountability. We've
Mhm.
had people that they go to the gym and at first they were a little bit shy, but I was like, say hi to people,
Yeah.
because those people that you always see there, those are your people now. And
Yeah.
then she'd walk in and she'd be like, oh, hey, hey. And
Mhm.
then when she missed a day and she went back, they're like, where
Yeah.
were you?
Yes.
Right? She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I missed. People know that I'm a morning person and I go to the gym, right? So you
Uh-huh.
start to build into your identity. So some
Yeah.
people are very community driven.
Mhm.
Some people don't like to talk to anyone, when they go to the gym. And so to them, it's just building a little checklist. I'm very checklist oriented. It's like, to me, if it's in my calendar, it's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you like checklists, do checklists.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to have a friend to do it with, so they have a little group chat with their friend, or they go and work out with their friends. So if their friend doesn't feel like it, they can motivate them. If they don't feel like it, their friend can motivate them on it. You can have wagers with your friend. By the end of this week, if we do X amount of training, we can do X thing. And you can do it a positive reward, you can do it a negative reward.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried negative rewards with one of my friends, and it was very interesting. Um, it wasn't for working out, but the principles apply. We just had a certain amount of tasks that we needed to do per week, and we would meet at the end of the week for accountability. That was many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we said there's 3 tasks. Each task is worth $100. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't do a task, you have to donate $100 to a charity that you absolutely hate.
Great.
So for me, it was donating money to like a meat industry, basically. Like
Yes.
if I didn't do my task, I had to donate $100 to the meat industry.
Yeah.
Um, and I always did my task. I've never missed a task, right? So for him, he had his own organization that he didn't like. And so,
Uh-huh.
it's playful and fun, but at the same
Yes.
time, it's quite serious. I'm like, I have this whole fit vegan brand. I can't have my name be donating to, the meat industry. So, find ways to have fun with it. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that the underlying commitment that you have is with yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like your friends will motivate you to go to gym and all of these things. And motivation is great to a certain extent, but commitment is far greater. Commitment requires you to show up when you don't feel like it. And for those of you that are listening that have kids, commitment is what you have towards your kids. I'm sure that not every day you want to be the happy-go-lucky mom or dad and everything's on top of the world and you're stressed at work and there's things happening, but you still show up for them because you're committed, because you care. You
Mhm.
need to have that same level of commitment towards yourself. That's what commitment looks like. Motivation is what you have if you struggle to go to the gym.
Mhm.
That's like you get a little hit, you watch a great YouTube video or video on TikTok, which doesn't exist anymore here, but you watch a video and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go and work out today. That's motivation. Commitment is what you have towards your kids.
So well said. Yes. And when it comes to strength training, so obviously like when we are doing the training, so like what about I mean I would say like warming up or like even after the training. I mean, you did mention like when it comes to DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness, so like stretching really helps. So what would you recommend, like what are the precautions or tips that people need to follow while doing strength training?
Yeah, so we can separate into 3 sections. We'll do like the warm up, the core of the workout, and then the cool down. So
Mhm.
for the warm up, I always like to use this analogy of elastic band.
Mhm.
So if you grab an elastic band and you put it in the freezer for several hours and you pull it out and you pull on it, it's going to break,
Yes.
right? That is your body before you go into a workout. If
Mhm.
you go from your day job or whatever you're doing, sitting down doing something, and you go straight into a workout and you start lifting weights, you're going to get injured. Your body is stiff. It is not warmed up. And
Mhm.
so it's important to do some type of warm up. That could be arm swing, leg swings. It could be you walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, getting on the spin bike. I like to play basketball with my wife before every workout. That's our little way of warming up. The
Mhm.
idea is that it's not exhausting. It is not a cardio session. It is just a way to get your heart rate up and to lubricate those joints and to get the body going.
Mhm.
Right. 10 minutes for the most part is all I've seen for most people. If it's cold, wear a sweater. You'll heat up a lot faster
Mhm.
as you're doing it. But the
Mhm.
idea is to move your body and ideally trying to do warm up the area of your body that you're going to be exercising. All right. So if you're training your full body and you're on the bike, try and do some arm swings when you're
Mhm.
cycling, right? If you're doing the elliptical, have your arms in there. That way you'll be warming up your upper body and your legs at the same time.
Mhm.
If you're running on the treadmill, same thing. Your arms are swinging, so they're kind of warming up at the same time. The idea is to be 10 minutes, but the idea is just to lightly warm up. Again, it's not a cardio session because some people's like, I ran for 10 minutes before and I was drenched in sweat. That's the equivalent of you going into a workout cold. You went from not running to sprinting on the treadmill to sweat for 10 minutes. That's too much. Way more likely to pull a hamstring, hurt a calf, or do something. Because as soon as there's a drastic increase in intensity like that from doing nothing, more likely to injure yourself. So go nice and slow, get a little sweat going.
Mhm.
Once you do your main set, so the actual strength workout or your cardiovascular session, it's what we talked about earlier, right? Focus on the right form, focus on time under tension. So basically taking your time as you're doing the repetition. If you notice some wiggle, let it go, right? Grab a lighter weight and make sure that you have the right form.
Mhm.
Focus on breathing through the movement, and then just work through your set. Just work through your workout, whatever that structure is.
Mhm.
And then as a part of the cool down, you want to do some static stretching. So static stretching is what you typically see
Mhm.
people do. They're bending down, they're touching their toes, they're on the wall, they're holding the back of their leg to stretch their quad, they're holding against the wall, stretching their chest. Static stretching is great for after the workout. Not
Mhm.
before, because if you do static stretching before, you're pulling on a cold elastic band. Not
Yeah.
the most ideal,
Mhm.
but now you've
Mhm.
worked out, you're warmed up. Now it's time to do static stretching at the end.
Mhm.
Doing 10 minutes of static stretching at the end will do wonders in terms of reducing muscle soreness. So ideally stretch the muscles that you've worked. So if
Mhm.
you've worked your glutes or your hamstrings or your quads or your chest, make sure to stretch those muscles.
Mhm.
You can go for 3 rounds of maybe like a 30-second hold on
Mhm.
some of those stretches.
Mhm.
And it's important to keep it light and gentle, right? You don't want to force yourself into a stretch. 'Cause again, you'll pull something even though
Yeah.
you're warmed up. So
Mhm.
have a nice little gentle approach to stretching. Hold it for maybe 30 seconds, and then do a few rounds of the muscles that you've worked and do that.
Mhm.
And then obviously when you get home, make sure that you continue to hydrate yourself, eat whole food, plant-based, eat a good meal after. If you do that, you have a great training session and you're going to greatly reduce your soreness level after. And for most people that don't know, it's not the day after it hits you, it's 2 days after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Dr. Shobha shared with DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness.
Mhm. Yeah. So, like, what about like eating after strength training? So, like, how much time? Because I know, like, there are some people like who do intermittent fasting. So,
Yeah.
like, like personally for me, I strength train on an empty stomach. So, like, I get my workout early in the morning. So, like, I do on empty stomach, but I don't eat till during later part of the day. So, but in terms of, so let's say if you have done strength training,
Hmm.
um, like how, like what's the time frame that we should be eating?
I got two answers for it.
Yeah.
If you're exercising fasted,
Huh?
I would say right after you should eat something.
Okay.
If you eat breakfast before, you can wait a few hours after you ate because you have to think that you've just torn muscle fibers in your body from your exercise, and then your body's looking to replenish. So if
Mm-hmm.
you've had breakfast before, you still have some of your macronutrients and micronutrients from it to serve the recovery post workout. But
Mm-hmm.
if you fasted, that meal was the night before,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've
Yeah.
digested through it, you've
Yeah.
used through it as you slept through the night. So by
Mm-hmm.
the time you're done your workout, there's not much left from that food that you ate. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why it would be important to fuel pretty much right after the workout, right? Like if it takes
Okay.
you 30 minutes to get to your house, not
Mm-hmm.
the end of the world, right? But ideally, you want to have some food after. You don't want to wait hours if you're fasted.
Okay. Okay. So that
Yeah.
that's good to know. So like if you're not like feeding properly after the workout, does that slow down your progression of muscle building or anything like that? If you're not fueling properly?
Defined not fueling properly.
Mhm. So let's say, as you said, it's better to eat 30 minutes. So let's say if you did your exercise on fasting stomach, so it was the previous night that you ate, and let's
Yeah.
say you finished your exercise by 7:30, but you're not eating until 11.
Yeah.
So would is there any repercussions to it? So basically, what I'm asking is if you're not feeding right after strength training.
Yeah. Okay,
Are
perfect. So
there,
I thought you were talking about like eating junk food after or something. But
yeah.
yeah, if you your body's is at a higher chance and probably will be in a catabolic state, basically where your body eats its own lean muscle to recover. Because you have to think that the protein is not the protein that's important, it's the amino acid that make up the protein that's important. And those
Mhm,
amino acids are the building blocks to help with the recovery. So if you
mhm,
didn't eat until the night before, you exercise and you strength train and you wait several hours after, well,
mhm,
your body's going to start recovering right away. It's not going to wait until the food comes in. And so
mhm.
your body will go and look for other places in the body that have those building blocks, aka amino acids.
Okay.
The other place that has a great amount of it is in your own lean muscle tissue. So your
Mm,
body is more likely to eat its own muscle tissue to fuel its own muscle tissue.
mm.
So then counterproductive because then you're actually going to start to lose lean muscle mass, right? On a very like micro level, but it adds up over time.
Yes, yes. So that's good to know because because sometimes I find that yes, so I wait a longer time after my strength training exercise.
Yeah.
So but nowadays I'm trying to see like if I can just eat right away after that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put a disclaimer on that. So I always operate from the frame of there's what's optimal and then there's what's realistic.
Mhm.
So I don't want anyone listening to this and be like, well, I trained fasted and I can't eat for 4 hours after. So I'm just not going to train. Listen,
No.
it's better for you to train and not eat 4 hours after, even if you're fasted, because at least you'll get some benefits versus not
Yes.
training, because you get the bone density, the hormone balancing benefits from it. There's a ton of great. So there's
Mhm.
always what's optimal and what's realistic. To
Yes.
be fair, sometimes I'll work out fasted and
Mhm.
then I'm just busy with back-to-back stuff and I don't have time to eat for 4 hours after.
Mhm.
Is it the end of the world? No, I'm going to survive. It makes
Yeah.
very minuscule amounts of difference. I'm just saying on a consistent basis,
Yep.
trying to have some food right after if you're fasted, and then you can wait a few hours if you're not.
Mhm. Yes, that's good to know. So, so what would be your recommended pre or post workout meal?
Yeah, I like to personally keep it light to a certain extent. So I can share what I had this morning. I basically had 2 cups of unsweet almond milk, 3 handfuls of like mixed greens, so spinach, chard, kale, all that. I had a little bit of plant-based protein powder in there that's hemp-based. I had a banana, a cup of frozen berries, and a little bit of peanut butter in
Mhm.
there, just to add a little bit of heaviness to it.
Mhm.
And then I drank that maybe an hour and a half before I went to the gym.
Mhm.
And then I went to do my workout. And on the way back, I had a full cup of oats, sprouted oats, with some berries, some almond butter, some date syrup, bananas, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. Yeah.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, so I mean that are great foods. So I didn't even realize the time. Time really flies so fast when you're having fun. But
Absolutely.
I do want our audience to let you know like what would be the best way to reach you? I know like you offer coaching sessions, so I also know you have your website, and we are going to put the link to your website here. But what is the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so multiple ways. Ultimately, just going to fitvegancoaching.com. That's if you're interested in working with us. If not, just heading over to the YouTube channel or to my Instagram. There's a link to sign up for our free newsletter.
Mhm.
We send emails twice a week with recipes and tips on how to help you get started with your training, how to make adjustment when your body plateaus, because undoubtedly that will happen, right? As you kind of do a plan, your body gets used to it, and then
Mhm.
we need to change it up. So we send a lot of great tips on a weekly basis. So those would be the main places, the newsletter and the website.
And do you offer your coaching services online or do you do it in person as well?
Everything is online. We don't do anything in person. The reason we don't do anything in person is because we can offer more online for the
Mhm.
investment. Because if you wanted to meet with me for a month, it would be 4 times the amount of our program. And you wouldn't get a nutritionist and a doctor and group calls and weekly check-ins and private one-on-one calls. Like we can offer so much more online.
Mhm.
And we get to serve more people. We're in 20 different countries,
Mhm.
which are people that I would have never had the opportunity to impact if it wasn't for it.
Amazing, amazing. So, like, we have posted your website, your Instagram, your YouTube, and as you said, like you have like great videos in your YouTube. So all the
Yeah.
things that you explained in this session today. So let's say if people want to find how to warm up, how to do certain exercises, and also how to cool down. Like I briefly visited your YouTube, and it's amazing that like you have all this wonderful videos. Like it's really a gold mine of I would say collection of all this exercises. So I would highly recommend that. So we have posted the YouTube link here, and you can find the exercises there. And like he has a great coaching service. Like I highly recommend that like you connect. And so we have provided the website here as well, so that you can contact him and get started, because like this is so cool. Like you're getting a nutritionist, like you're getting the coach, and like everything is in place, so that like you're just getting a full-fledged service, which is really amazing. So I highly recommend that you visit the site. And in terms of, I know, like even in terms of social media, so people have their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, but is there a preferred social media platform for you, Maxime? So let's say if people want to connect with you or contact you or have any questions. So is there a preferred social media platform versus other?
Yeah, but if they just go to YouTube, they'll
Uh-huh.
see all the link for newsletter, for Instagram, for the website and everything. So YouTube probably the best hub for everything. And as you
Okay.
saw, we have different playlists for, we have recipe videos, the Fit Vegan
Mhm.
podcast, the exercise, the workouts. I try to keep it all organized on there.
Mhm. Yeah, and you did an amazing job, let me tell you. Like it's
Thank you.
it's so good to see like everything in one place, so organized. And I like personally, I have a great appreciation for the work that you do, and it's
Thank you.
amazing like how you run this coaching company, because I know it's not easy to do it. So and you do such a wonderful job. So it was really an honor to have you here. And I know like you have to get back to your other appointments. So I really appreciate your time. Even though it was a busy day for you, you made time for us. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to be here. And I hope that the people listening got something valuable out of it. I always like to say this whenever I end trainings for our members or for anyone. Everything you learned today is extremely valuable, but none of it's going to change your life. None of it's going to make a difference in your body, in your fitness. It's none of it's going to change anything unless you do something with the information. So invite you to pick one thing that you learned from today that you can take action on today that's going to start building momentum to ultimately get the goal that you want. If not, it's just cool things you have in your head that you can tell your friends about.
I'm glad you mentioned this. And on that note, I would definitely say, so like if what is one thing that you guys are going to do? So it could be as simple as signing to his newsletter where you're getting the tips and information. It could be just one that simple act. The next thing, like it could be watching those YouTube videos and trying it out for yourself. And that could be your second step. The third step would be just to contact him and see like how he can help you implement this. So like those are all the wonderful things. And as Maxime said, like it's only through implementation that we are going to get the results. So I hope like you got something out of this session. And like both Maxim and I, like we want you to thrive better. We want you to be healthy, thrive better. and and that's why we do the sessions for you, so that like we can inspire you to be a best version of yourself. So thank you so much, Maxime, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you for having me.